So success leaves clues, but it doesn't mean that you need to then regurgitate what everyone else is doing or to copy exactly what their business model is. So I just got off the phone with my mate Ben, and we were talking about business models and what I should be looking to do to transition into the next phase or the next iteration of what I've been doing. And when I first started, when I transitioned out of the military, I was like a deer in the headlights. I was looking at absolutely everything and anything that worked. And the one model that I took on was what my mentor was doing at the time, which was learning how to coach one-to-one for 6 weeks through a breakthrough program. And once I then got familiar with the strategy, with the process, and could actually fulfill that particular product, I then went from one-to-one into a one-to-many aspect and then launched a group coaching program. But from there, I didn't just stay at just group coaching programs and having to go through the sell, pre-sell, and launch phase, pre-sell and launch phase. A lot of people do really well with that, where they have certain dates that they cut off enrollment and then they launch a particular product. But I was enjoying having people move into the community when they were ready, and then to move and plug into a program that I already had established, which was an online mastermind. So I ran a low ticket online mastermind, and that didn't really work either. And I actually didn't really enjoy it. It wasn't until I then positioned myself in a digital agency where I was then running automation for small businesses, where I started to then realize and understand the leverage of monthly recurring revenue, but to also understand that you need to really actually enjoy the business model that you are in. So at the time, I loved it because I was then able to fulfill my clients and do what they needed to them for them to win. But then I was then playing video games for hours on end with my partner at the time, exercising, going out for dinner, enjoying the beach, just living life. I was comfortable. Yet I knew that I was feeling quite unfulfilled at the same time because I wasn't truly actually doing what I wanted to do. So that then transitioned me into then running what you may have seen for the last 2 years now, was a military style immersion for men to help them become better leaders for their family unit and their team in business. But on the back end, for those that hadn't seen it before, is I was then inviting those men that were coming through those immersions to invite them to join a 12-month business mastermind. And I loved doing it in that way because I could vet them through my screening process, so to speak, at the event, that I knew I wanted to work with this person because I saw them actually put in the effort. And then it was able to be my way to protect the sanctity of the community as the leader. And as time progressed through, what I was then seeing in terms of that business model is I created a natural choke point. My choke point was only people in the mastermind were coming from the event. So then if I only had 10 to 20 people at the event every single quarter, then on the back end, in terms of basic simple maths, the conversion rate is only then going to be between 10 to 20 people to be invited into the mastermind. So when I started to then realize this, I started to then look at other opportunities and other methods and other strategies. And what I then realized was a lot of people weren't able to get the help that they needed in their business because unless they were going to spend 4 or 5 days with me at our immersion and have to wait until they came to the immersion, then I wouldn't actually be able to help them grow and scale their business and to help them become a better leader within their own right, within their own life, within their own relationship. So then I started to then pivot outside of the event being the initial entry point, and for it to replicate very similar to what the army would be. When you join the army, you'd sign the dotted line at the recruitment center, then you'd then go to basic training, and then after you've graduated from basic training, you'd then march into your battalion. It's a very similar model that I had. Was you had your first initial call with us, you were then selected and you'd secure your spot for the intake on the next upcoming immersion. And then when you then attended the immersion, that's your basic training. And that's when you were then qualified or you were initiated and then tapped on the shoulder to say, hey, you should join the mastermind. And that was then the battalion. Over a 12-month period, we'd take them through a curriculum, a framework. They'd have different mastermind events to attend. And so that was my model. But what I noticed was there are so many people out there who need help, and they may not be able to attend an event. They would want, or they would prefer to have access to an online community, an online course, online coaching. But I didn't necessarily see that at the time because my trap that I fell into, which I know a lot of coaches and consultants and online course creators and educators and experts do, is they are very rigid in what they do, and they're not flexible in pivoting and changing as the market trends the market trends suggest that they should. So then what I started to then do is I started to then look at providing more context behind what I do in business and marketing and sales and leadership and automation, because everyone for so long saw me as this bootcamp guy. Everyone saw me as just this dude in military uniform shouting at people. That is 10% of what I've been doing, or 10% of my skill set that allowed me to build this event hybrid mastermind business from 0 to 7 figures in the first 12 months and generate over 11,000 leads that were interested in wanting to attend. So for me, I am needing to be able to be more expressive and open to share this type of content, because more men in business, more business owners in general, need to understand what I know. So I'm at this position now when I had this conversation with Ben just recently, when we were talking about business models and that all models work. And you have to find what model works for you. Some people love one-on-one calls. I, for one, enjoy one-on-one. I love coaching and I love helping people by solving their problems that they bring to me. I also love group, where everyone is connecting and communicating, and there's this energy around everyone because they're all in similar areas of life and business, and they're helping one another, communicating, and it's really cool community. It's a good vibe. But the one thing that I was overlooking was there's many ways to provide one-on-one. And so usually you would see that people would hit a cap, they'd hit a ceiling when it comes to one-on-one, and they would have, a ceiling of like 10 clients, because 10 one-on-ones for about an hour and a half, you then start to then schedule that throughout the week. You're now looking at maybe 2 or 3 per day, maybe 4 per day. So that's the first Monday, Tuesday gone, and then an overlap in Wednesday. Then you've got to then film more content for your community and for your social media. Then you've got to continue to then tweak ads and adjust your content. Then you've got to then still run a team. Then you still got to have a life, and then still have a partner, and still have, a family unit at home. Then your health and fitness. It gets quite overwhelming when I say it in that way. But there is another way. And this is what I had learned from Dan Bolton, is a prime example of someone who's doing this really well for his community. Is he has a one community offer and a one-on-one offer. And the one-on-one offer isn't like me, where you would do a one-on-one call and you'd have to jump on at a specific time throughout the week, and it'd be a Zoom call and we'd be talking face-to-face like this. It was actually then looking more so where they get access to voice note coaching throughout the program. And this is where my light bulb clicked. And I thought to myself, with all due respect and really putting myself into a position of owning the level of expertise that I've been able to master over the last 10 years of my career, was I'm only having an opportunity in my one-on-ones to jump on a one-on-one call once a week. And they may message me throughout the week and ask me a question inside the community or WhatsApp. But the one thing that hasn't been afforded to majority of the men in my community has been to have me in their pocket. And when I started to then unpack this in my mind, I thought, if I was at the start of my business journey again, or even where I'm at right now, and I was looking to scale to multiple 7 figures, but I had someone like myself being able to have access to me and my brain and my ability to solve problems throughout the week just by voice noting or sending a message, that for me is way more valuable than just jumping on a weekly call, a Zoom call once a week, and having access to a portal with content and a community call. So the thing that I then landed on was everything works. The weekly calls, one-on-one, deep diving on Zoom and unpacking things works. We're having voice note access for when you want to then ask a question at the time that you want works. What you need to ask yourself the question on is, how do I want to live my life? How do I want to then spend my time? And what is going to be the most valuable thing for my clients? If you can identify your ideal target market, what it is that you need to be messaging out to them for them to want to work with you, and you know your minimum viable product, or at least the core product that you know is going to solve their biggest problems, then you can come up with, and you can test and tweak this, the different ways or the variations to actually solve the biggest problem. Because you may want to test, similar to what I did when I first started, a one-on-one for 6 weeks, then a one-to-many for 6 weeks, then a group program for 3 months, then an ongoing evergreen mastermind, or an event to then lead into a mastermind, or a mastermind first that has access to events. Many business models work. You have to find the one that works. So I'm curious, which model works best for you? What have you seen that works in your industry? What have you seen that works well for you, or what doesn't work as well as what you want it to? And what changes are you struggling with? I'd love to know. Comment below this video. I'd love to open a dialogue and a conversation, because for me, I'm infatuated with this idea of finding the sweet spot for the ideal lifestyle that you want to live, how to then solve your clients' problems at the best of your ability with the least amount of stress for them, the least amount of effort for them, and within the least amount of time with the highest variation or perceived value that you can provide for them. I'm really intrigued with that. So comment below. I'd love to know, and I hope this brought value for you. And until then, I look forward to seeing you on the next video.